Gratitude is not something we need, I don't feel. Yet it seems to be hand in hand with love. When we feel that loving presence, it's almost like gratitude just slips in between, doesn't it? And nestles in there quite naturally and nicely. I don't think gratitude is something ultimately to practice. Although I have to say, and I write about this in my memoir, when I went through my son being in crisis and being completely off the rails and then losing him to suicide, there was a lot of grief that swept through here. And I would find small things to be grateful for each day. And gratitude became a lifeline for me during that period of time. If I saw a bird in the garden and my heart was feeling heavy and my head was sort of spinning with memory replaying, then I would focus on that bird and feel so grateful for that bird to show me and teach me how to be present. Now, whether that was our cats, we had cats at the time, or our dogs, or the trees, or the birds, I would just keep finding small moments of gratitude each day. And that was my lifeline. So I think nothing is exactly black and white. Everything exists and has its place. Ultimately, I think gratitude just nestles inside love and is just there all the time. But there are times where it may be a lifeline for us back to love as well.
I was wondering, is it a lifetime? I don't know what to put there, like kind of job to remind us ourselves that we are? I mean, do you remind yourself every day that you are, or like eventually you 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 reach a state when it just flows without reminding it yourself? And um, if we need to, like, we know we are in this body as well, so we need to accept it and accept the emotions that goes through. But what if sometimes we're not able to accept them? Does it matter? Like, should we be able to let them through, or I don't know, does it make sense?
I understand what you're saying, Ella. I get it. This is where initially intellectual understanding can help. Initially, intellectual understanding of who we are truly, and understanding that the I am presence here is the same as the I am presence there. That consciousness is the field, the one field. And then we have the expression of this whole gamut of experience that arises from consciousness. And initially, yes, it's good to remind yourself because we forget. We get drawn back down with the crocodiles, don't we? and and our emotions and the drama of life pulls us under again and again and again, and we lift ourselves up again and again and again we don't until we don't have to. So that is a consciousness. The I am presence, love is always right here, always available. The only thing that gets in the way are all our patterns and, Kathy, all our old habits of getting sucked into dramas, or our addictions to, that could be an addiction to drama, that could be an addiction to a substance, but it may be addiction to just a patterned way of responding. You know, we may respond through insecurity, we may respond with anger, we may, or whatever that is, whatever that deep emotion is that's hiding a karmic lesson for us. We do all come with patterns that offer deep karmic lessons, and that can be an important work as well, to recognize and see the lessons that you have and complete them and clear them. That is definitely a work initially that is powerful. But having said that, this is the direct path. And if we understand and we know that love is and is always available, that it is our patterns, our incomplete experience that is holding us stuck, unable to tune into the flow of that field, then initially, yes, that work will be done because it'll be presented to us. If the desire to be free is strong enough, then the right teachers, the right teachings, the right circumstances will present themselves in our lives to help us to clear those patterns and to remember. You can.
Okay, I understand. I just don't quite understand, um, because we, since we are living in this physical body, we need also to accept what's happening to this physical body. But do we need to accept everything? Like, what happens if we don't want to accept something, like an emotion that it's passing through? Like, can we can we just, I don't know, let it go away without living
Yeah.
it?
Well, the whole idea, when I say accept, it's just to recognize today I'm feeling sad, today I'm angry, I'm really pissed off, or whatever it is that's passing through, to recognize it, to shine the light of awareness on it, to remind yourself this is not who I truly am, and allow it in, but also allow it to go, because we can also get, we have to be very careful because we can get addicted to emotion as well, and we can feed that with our mind. You know, for instance, if you're annoyed with someone, oh well, he she did that and now I know da 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 da, and the mind jumps on the mind train, going round and round and round and justifying your emotion. But it's to see that, to see that that is never going to get anywhere but suffering, because happenings occur. Suffering is when we start to think about it and make it wrong. So I suggest allowing feelings in, but allowing them to flow through. If we deny our emotion and we push it down, and we push our anger down, and we push our frustration down, and we push our sadness down, then we can create like a pressure cooker experience inside, which can result in a breakdown, or it could result in an explosion of emotion that lands you somewhere that's very, very uncomfortable. It's better to wear your heart on your sleeve, but also to know that emotion is energy in motion, and it is not permanent. It is flowing, and it is not who you truly are. But it is experience, and let it flow and let it go. And that takes maturity and experience, especially if that's a new idea for you. It doesn't just always happen overnight. You know, we develop in time. We are in human time here. And of course, that's also not necessary, because sometimes people have just woken up. Boom. So I don't want to put any limiting ideas that anything should be any other way than as it is. And if that's as it is, that's as it is. Because as soon as we believe something has to be a certain way, we're limiting consciousness to that way, aren't we? We're limiting what can happen. And miracles can happen. They happen every moment.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Anything else?
Actually, yes.
Go on, go on.
I do not. It, my question is a step back from what you just said. What if I'm not able to, not even expressing it, like I just push it down? Like, how can I allow myself to express something that is pushed down without, of course, being
well, you know the practice I gave you in our last consultation?
yes.
Put it all in there. Do it. Express it. Okay. Get it out. Yeah?
Okay.
Thanks, Ella.
Well, it seems like the flavor of the evening is the art of allowing things to pass through. And I think this will only happen, will begin to happen, when we also learn the art of detaching from the cause of the feeling. Because as long as there is this cause, the reason that I'm feeling this is because of that, that will always be replayed. You notice, if you notice, you watch the mind in action, it will replay the cause of suffering. And so we have these lying awake at night, unable to stop the train of thinking, repeating this thought, because it's re-triggering the feeling. And so to learn the art of detaching the feeling from the cause, and for that we have to go into the bodily sensations. This is how we experience feeling. And call it anger, call it jealousy, call it anything you like. It's still a bodily sensation. It's a feeling in the body experienced as probably around the solar plexus, a tension, increased heart rate, stress, basically stress. And I mean, there are many, many techniques, breathing techniques, yoga, all that sort of thing. But to begin with, it helps to have an understanding and to watch the mind in action. For example, when you're lying in bed at night and you have this looping thought, which is creating a feeling of terrible anguish, look at the body, go into the body, not into the thought. Look at how they're two separate things. They're not necessarily, they don't have to be there at the same time. The more you go into the feeling in the body, the more you realize how benign it is. And this allows it to pass through, because you could say that consciousness wants the feeling, and it will keep creating the trigger in order to get the feeling and the sensation. And that sensation is not necessarily comfortable, but it will pass through if we allow it to be there. I'm speaking from my own experience. I've been through a lot of that myself. And relaxing with the out breath, with every out breath, more and more relaxation allows the feelings to be experienced in a much more efficient way, in the sense of allowing them to pass through. As long as you have that replay, whatever it is, that replay keeps re-triggering the resistance to that feeling. So go into the body more and more. We need to be really grounded. This is why Soraya suggests dancing, or something that really sort of takes you into the feeling in this, the physical sensations. And as you become more skilled at noticing, you will catch the anger in time before it has a chance to creep up the arms and the shoulders and reach the neck and take over. You will catch it in time, because consciousness is more focused on the physical sensations rather than being taken over by the, oh, he did that, or he did that, and I really don't like that. All that sort of stuff is completely irrelevant to what consciousness really needs to experience, which is being in this body. And I mean, it certainly worked for me, and it works in any situation. Any situation. Obviously, there are some that are more extreme than others, and some take time to dissipate, and they will, something that you can work with if it's a really heavy pattern, which is holding you back from living. It will dissipate slower. But I suppose it's a technique, but all it is a relaxing into being in the body. So that's my little contribution to the evening, the morning. Namaste.
Thanks, Terry. And yes, it is very powerful. And just a little note on that, it's very interesting. It is important how we get in touch with feelings. And that can be different at different times in our life when the intensity is different. For instance, For someone who is experiencing a bombardment of emotions and it's really difficult, then I would suggest something more dynamic. For someone who had done a lot of stillness and the emotions were less strong, then Vipassana meditation is exactly this. It is feeling the feelings, noticing the feelings without getting involved in the story behind the feelings. However, if someone is in a state of mental distress, high anxiety, I would not recommend still meditation and observation in that way. I would definitely work more dynamically with that person, because it could be too intense at that period. So the gold here is exactly as Terry was just sharing, being able to acknowledge the feelings and noticing them as sensations in the body. So we actually begin to put that together, that the mind reacts to what is. We have a feeling about that, or an emotion that is ignited. And then we have a bodily sensation experienced in the body somewhere, whether that's in our heart, whether that's our gut, whether that's our shoulders and neck tensing up. There will be a bodily sensation. And if those bodily sensations continue over a long period of time, it can block energy in the physicality and create dis-ease or disease. For instance, if we're used to, tightening our shoulders and our neck, we may end up with neck and back problems. If we're used to suppressing other sorts of energy, sexual energy or such, that can create lower back issues. That's not the only thing that creates lower back issues, but different experiences. If we've had a lot of grief, then that may end up creating heart problems. So everything is tied together and connected. We are in the web of life. One thing touches another. But if we can understand that it's not that there is the story of resistance to what is happening in life, and that is played out in mind, and we can get caught on the mind train, the thinking, replaying, rehashing, then we can have an emotional response to that. And then we have a sensation in the physical body. So if we can allow those, as Terry was saying, to relax and experience those sensations rather than getting stuck in replaying and rehashing the story, then the body can relax and it can flow through, and we will be freer of it a lot quicker.
Can I just say one more thing, that in my experience, what also happens is that the cause is dissipated. As soon as the feeling, the experience is fully experienced, the cause tends to dissipate as well.
Yeah. And I've watched this in action with people that really take this on board, and the transformation can be quite amazing, quite incredible. And I know with my own period of grief after, losing my brother and my son, I really allowed that grief. I didn't fight it. I didn't push it away. I allowed it through, but it's important that we don't identify with the story behind it. And if we fully identify with that, then that can actually dictate the rest of your life. So not identifying with the story. And we can do this by allowing those feelings in, noticing them in the body. And sometimes that's so intense. You know, I remember lying in bed at night, just bawling my eyes out and just feeling all the feelings and just letting them come through. And Terry would say, is there anything I can do? And I said, no, it's okay. I've just got to cry, or I've just got to be with this. And I just knew I just had to allow that through. It's natural. Grief comes from love. So if I accept all aspects of love, why can't I accept grief? It's very interesting. I don't know how we got onto this subject, but it's very deep and very profound. And thank you, Terry, for bringing that up. Beautiful satsang, everyone. Sending you all so much love, and we'll see you next week. Namaste.
Namaste.